Hey, everybody. How's it going? This is the Instagram Collectors Roundtable. We're on episode 3. Really happy to have Tim here for the first time. Tim is joining us. If you've ever met him on Instagram, Red Wings Fan 11. Kelvin, the wheeler and dealer of the five of us, is here again. And yeah, excited to talk about a few topics we've been kind of going back and forth on, and hope you guys are having a good weekend and all that good stuff. Now, Tim, this is your first time on here. How are you? How are you enjoying the community on Instagram? Because that's what this is built around. How's that been for you?
I've absolutely loved it. I've been on Instagram since 2020, and I've made some really good friends. And actually, the person who sort of motivated me to join Instagram is a friend who I talk to literally every single day. So I've really managed to build some great relationships on here, and that's what I look forward to, even building some more. You know,
Awesome.
and thank you for having me on here too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's nice to have a Red Wings fan on here because there's a lot of storied history between my team. Well, I guess my former team and them. They had some really good matchups, obviously, and at the end of 2008-9,
Yep.
and then all the games with Colorado. So you've got plenty of stories and legends that you can share and talk about. Now, real quick before we get to you, Kelvin, I am curious, because a Red Wings collector. I mean, you think of that could go anywhere, right? You got Nick, who collects all the '90s stuff. You got guys like Brady who collect that Souk. Are you kind of just like a Red Wings collector in general, or do you have specific guys you're targeting?
Specific guys. So it really all started with Henrik Zetterberg. So Zetterberg is my favorite player, and so he
Okay.
was my first main PC guy. And pretty much since I got back into collecting since 2011, I've pretty much managed to amass most of the cards that I really wanted of him, especially since I focus on rookie year only cards.
Oh, okay.
So I've pretty much almost hit a wall with him because there's not much else left to get outside of a couple select cards. Datsuk is also a guy who I collect. Brady and I talk about Datsuk a lot. And actually, he and I facilitated a pretty big trade for one of my biggest cards in my Barkov Titanium out of 2. So Brady and I have been able to connect with Datsuk. And then a little bit of prospecting here and there. So like Mort Sider, Lucas Raymond, we'll see if I can get into them. But because prices are pretty high with them as it is right now. But
Right.
just a little bit here and there.
Okay. Nice. Well, you got lots of options, especially when you how did Brady put it? When you like decide to like go beyond rookie year Zetterberg stuff, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff out there, man. Like it and a lot of really cool stuff too. So if you
Mhm.
need any help like getting motivated to buy stuff, just ask Kelvin or myself. We're more than happy to
Yeah.
recommend some cards. Kelvin does that to me all the time, man. He's the worst. It's like, hey Matt, do you know that Flurry has this? Like, oh great.
At that.
Oh man.
Mhm.
But yeah, Kelvin, thanks for waiting, dude.
Yeah, no
Now
worries.
I know last week you came on, we kind of hinted at something pretty major happening, and we don't want to announce that yet, but you're making some progress on one of your most significant purchases you've had. How's that been as far as like, because you mentioned like having to sell stuff? Are you feeling pretty good about all the stuff you've got floating around that you can move to make this happen?
Yeah, because I used to collect Pokemon. I used to play Pokemon as well too, competitively for a little bit, and I just kind of had this collection. And then I remember like the prices shot up. I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I didn't really think much of it. It was just like it was cool cards. I just had stored, and then obviously this card popped up. I'm like, what is the first thing that has to go? So it had to be those. I mean, I kept a couple of the ones that I really liked, but it's been good. Have about a week, and hopefully I can get to that amount. I'll probably make it for sure. But
Right.
yeah, this is like the biggest card I purchased by two folds, I think. Maybe a little more, like 2.5. So this is a hefty purchase for me.
Well, I think it's interesting because for anybody that knows about our endeavor on
Yeah.
eBay, um, that would have been your most expensive card then. So in essence, it's just giving you a little more time. I mean, honestly, it might be working out better. I don't know if this happened to you, Tim, where you have a chance at a card and either another one pops up or the same one becomes available. It's like, well, I'm glad I had all this extra time because now I have more things to move to help me, buy it. Because you had gone to the expo, been able to sell some of that, make some profit there. So hopefully that's worked out. And I can't wait to see that thing in person. That's all I'm going to say.
And you mentioned that, Logan, that you used to be into Pokemon and that you're using those cards to fund this big purchase, because that's actually been my goal the same, because I also did collect Pokemon for a little bit. So I do have a small collection, and I'm planning on going to the Atlantic City National. And one of the first things I wanted to do was, for the first time, get some cards graded, for the hopes that I get some good grades and then flip them for more hockey cards in return.
Yes.
So yes, that's my Pokemon plan too. I do have a couple of cards I'm thinking of submitting. If I get some good grades, they're gonna go get flipped a little bit and then go towards some hockey cards. Maybe some Datsu, maybe some Zetterberg. Who knows? Titanium.
That's good. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. We've we've chatted about it both times. There's always got to be something that you can move, that you grab at a low end that's appreciating in value, that you can then move. And there's a few basketball cards I have of guys that I like to watch play and that I know have the it stuff. You watch basketball for 20 something years, whatever sport, you kind of see the players like Sider or, any other rookie that have it. Julio Rodriguez, mention that name, Kelvin. But Bo Bichette, all these guys that have the stuff, and you can kind of get in on some of those cards, and either people grade them or I don't. But I just kind of find the ones that I know have a high rate of desirability and stash them away. And then, hopefully a year or two down the road, you're able to use that to help fund another purchase. Because there's always going to be, let's be honest, there's always going to be something to buy. There's always going to be something to buy. Yes. We always find a way.
My watch list is full. It's always full on eBay.
I didn't even know there's a max until like a little while ago. I like hover around like the 200-ish range, and then I was like, because I collect baseball too, and then I flooded that. I'm like, I didn't know there was a limit. It was like,
right. There needs to be a way to like sort that too. I would love for them to allow us to like have a watch list and then sort within the watch list, like Glass Now, Flurry, and then for you guys, you have your different ones. Like, it'd be nice to like sort it that way, because you can't, unless I'm totally missing it, you can't search within your want list. And I'll put something in there and I'll be like, okay, where is it? And I'll look it up on eBay and it's not there, but it hasn't sold. I'm like, oh, where is it? And then I find it like going through them all. It's like, yeesh.
Yeah.
So I would like that ability, but I think I'm at like 300 items right now. I think 500 is the limit, or 400.
400. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys purge the want list, but every now and then I like just click them all and get rid of them all and start over and just like keep it small. Like just sometimes you have to, Window shopping is fun, but it only goes so far, especially when seller offers you like a deal you can't pass up. You're like, do I really need it? It's on the watch list. Anyways, I've had some good opportunities come up that way though, so it's it's good for sure. But for our topics today, we're gonna have Tim start off here, being the first time you've been on here. It'd be nice for you to get a topic going, and then Kelvin will share his, and I'll jump in with mine, and then we'll at the very end we'll touch on some of these off-season moves that we've had happen, some trades, some signings. The draft was that was surprising. Obviously, living close to Seattle, and my secondary allegiances are going to be with that team, and my dad as well. So some excitement for that team that we'll talk about. But Tim, what did you want to start us off with for this week?
Sure. So I found something simple. Our favorite hobby or card collecting memories. Simple, but foundational question.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it is.
Man, I mean, because I guess for me, when you said that, I wanted to compartmentalize it into like 3 different experiences rather than like 3 cards I bought, because that's I think we could all say that. So you want to kind of give us a start. This can like work as an introduction too, as far as your foray into the hobby, because it's different for all of us, So yeah, go for it. Would love to hear how you got going and some memories you got.
Sure. So I got back into collecting around 2011, and this is around the time where this memory in particular is really one of the things that pretty much solidified me staying in the hobby long term. So around that time, I was in college, and I was just looking for a regular you know little job to help fund whatever expenses I had, and also to maybe buy some cards here and there. And I remember with my first paycheck, I wanted to buy a box of something that I could pull for one of my main PC guys. And at the time, I was doing Datsuk and Zetterberg. Those were my first two that I really started with. And I said to myself, okay, let's see what boxes I can buy that are cheap and that can give me something that I'm looking for, value wise. And so I said to myself, 2001-02 Pacific Crown Royale, because I
Right.
always loved Crown Royale.
Yeah.
And I wanted to either pull the Datsuk or the Kovalchuk, because Kovalchuk was a guy I also collected too. And so I remember getting that box in the mail right before work, actually, because I worked nights, and I got the box through the mail earlier that day. And I opened it up, went through the first batch of packs, and I'm going through them. Haven't got my rookie yet, because you're guaranteed one rookie per box, I believe. And one of the last packs, I saw the die cut outline of the Crown Royale rookie. And so, like, at the time, I was watching a lot of card breaks, and I was trying to, hold myself in suspense, just looking at the helmet, seeing if I recognize it, then
Yeah.
going towards the skate, seeing if I recognize some detail there. And so then when I went past the helmet and I saw Datsuk's face, oh
Awesome.
my goodness, I flipped. I was, yelling, screaming, I can't believe it. And so once I pulled that, I think I was in it for the long haul. And here I am 11 years later, still hunting Datsuk.
That's awesome, man. Can you imagine? Kelvin, I don't know if you've bought a box and hit a nice Marty out of it, but I haven't opened many hockey boxes just because you can't now, right?
Yeah.
Can't spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
But when I was opening a lot of 90s baseball boxes when they were still affordable, I mean, I'd get A-Rod in there, but I never hit like a major A-Rod. So like that would have been no wonder you got hooked. It was inevitable from that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man.
Mhm.
What about you, Kelvin? Like what was it that hooked you in, like for good?
So yeah, I got in around similar time to Tim. I think for me it was 2010. My friends played Yu-Gi-Oh, so I was like last year of my high school around then, or second, I forget, around there. So yeah, they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was in the shop with them, and I saw these hockey cards and all the modern ones, because I used to, collect as a kid. Obviously, took a long break, and then I was like, oh, what are these jersey cards and like these autos? Like this is insane. And then I didn't think much of it, but then after a while, I was like, you know what? I think I'll buy a pack. And this is around Taylor Hall was the first overall pick,
Yeah.
and this is when they just came off a Memorial Cup win as well too. I think it was the second one, because they did it back to back, and I'm from Windsor, so it would be up like, man, I really want him. And then I remember my first pack I think I got like 2 or 3. It was 10-11 certified, and I pulled. I think his name was Zach Hamill. I think he's out of Boston. I don't think anything came of him. Yeah, Zach Hamill. I pulled the freshman signatures, and then I pulled. I don't remember who it was, but it was a fabric of the game, and it was that was my favorite year of it too. And they had the team name going vertically. I don't remember the player though, unfortunately, but it was the patch version, and I was like, man, this is so cool. And I think that was the moment I got hooked, was from that set. So that's why that set holds a special place in my heart. That and 2010 2011's score. I think those were my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool to hear that Pacific and Panini were the ones that drew you guys in, because I find myself with Tebow and Fleury going to those brands first, always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that, Kelvin. I didn't know that story, but that explains your love for Panini too, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and Kelvin are the Panini bros, when it comes to finding our guys and different autographs and jersey cards and patches and stuff. So
Yeah.
Gosh, so many memories. I mean, I don't know. I think I keep going back to my dad, buying me goalie cards as a kid. The John Casey from Upper Deck. That's an iconic card to me. I don't know if you guys know which card I'm talking about. The 90-91 Upper Deck. I'll have to find a picture of it. It was seeing a picture of a goalie with all the gear on and how cool it looked artistically, and the Upper Deck design, iconic first design. I think just from seeing that card and then buying some goalie cards over the next couple of years, I was like, these are the coolest looking cards. Like there's always something to see on it every time you look at it. So I feel like I've always kind of been hooked there. But what really got me back into hockey, I mean, I guess more similar for everybody, is when I decided the baseball cards weren't doing it for me, and I looked up my first few Tebow cards, and I could buy a mirror gold for $15. I was like, what? So like an A-Rod is like a $1,500 card. I'm like, what is going on here? Like I know Justin Tebow is not Alex Rodriguez, but he was a good goaltender. He was my favorite as a kid, and it was done. As soon as I bought that first one for $15, it was over for me, man. I was down the rabbit hole. Yeah. So far, you probably couldn't see me, and I went on Sport Lots and ordered 100 Tebow from the same seller, and that opening is still on my Instagram too. It's fun to go back and watch, and I like have no idea what I'm looking at. Like, what is this card? Like, what's the print run and all this? And so, yeah, ever since then, I just kind of was full bore into it, and yeah, that was a fun mail day for me. Just like sitting there and doing it on video and seeing Pacific hockey cards. I was like, they're so much better than any other sports. Like they really went all in with their hockey designs, especially like Revolution, and Invincible, and so Dynagon Ice. I mean, I was like, geez, like Mike Kramer and his team really like went full send on hockey, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot over the coming episodes. But yeah, that was it, man. I was hooked. That was a big memory for me, just seeing all these Tebow cards and especially the ones that I remember having as a kid. I don't know if you guys have had that memory or that experience where we all got out of collecting and we came back in at some point, and then you see cards that like trigger a memory from early childhood.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was definitely fun. That was a lot of fun. And do either of you guys have any memories as far as like your first big mail day when you got back into it?
So, yeah.
That's a good question. I don't think I remember.
Yeah, making you really work.
No, I do have a small memory. So I'd say that I got back into collecting seriously in 2011, but there was a lot of interest that I had before that, leading up until that point. When I really started to get back into it, like piquing my interest, was around late 20. And the first big card that I got at that point in time, my first big Zetterberg rookie auto, was actually purchased for my birthday. And it was a dual auto, I think PSA 10 of Zetterberg and Spezza, sign of the times.
Wow.
And so when I got that card, it was like, okay, how much further can I go with this? Because I've been toying with the idea. Now I got this card, and when I received it in the mail, PSA 10, two big players from my childhood, Zetterberg and Spezza. I also do collect Spezza. Yeah, that was a pretty big mail day for me,
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Pretty significant. Yeah, especially being a PSA 10, And I love how he asked that, because Kelvin and I both laughed. Like, how much further can I go? Oh, there's a long ways to go. It's a dangerous road to be traveled.
Yeah.
But what about you, Kelvin? I mean, I know you're sitting there going through your head, like first maybe big Marty mail day, or like the first one you're like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to be. Like, let's keep it going.
Yeah, I can't remember my first significant card. I feel like I bought I went on Sports Cards Forum. That's where I started, and I feel like I cracked open a lot of when I first got in. Like boxes were so cheap, I just cracked a ton, and then I would just trade. I think I just traded for Marty. So like any like low end like jersey cards, I think I just got a bunch of those. But I think the two first significant cards I got from there was the base select gold out of 10 and then the select Fire on Ice Black 1 of 1. I think those are probably the 2 biggest cards I got back then. And at the time, it was like expensive. It felt, because I remember, I think the select, I want to say it was like $60, 60 or $70, which was pretty pricey back then.
I guess.
For
I
a
mean,
card. For a card, I mean, it was like, oh, geez, you know, you can do a lot with that. You can buy a box with that money. You buy like three boxes of score with that. I'm like, ooh, this is. I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. And then the Fire on Ice Black was, it was like, whoa, like 100, maybe a little over 100. I was like, that's like 4 or 5 boxes of score. I was like, that was my comparison thought. I was like, but you know, obviously it worked out. But
yeah.
I think those are the 2 cards that really made me think. I was like, oh, this is a big step up.
Yeah. Funny how we think the other way around now, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm like, I would really like to open a box
yeah.
of Stature, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna pay $300 for that, or I can buy 3 Fleury autographs that I don't have in my collection for the same price. Like, okay,
exactly.
It's definitely the other way around now. Even though singles are more expensive, than I mean, that Marty Select 101, that's not $100 card anymore. Let's just be honest about that.
Definitely not.
But that's, I think you guys, compared to me, I've looked at Fleury prices from 2011, and I'm glad I don't look at them anymore, because it just makes me upset. Because inflation does that, but also just he wasn't as popular as he is now, and his stuff you could get cup patch autos for $50. So, anyways, I'm glad he's not cheap anymore, though. It means that people love him. I think I'm trying to think here. Yeah, the first big Fleury mail day was pretty significant. Just getting a card that had a big old smile on it. But it also just kind of got me introduced to Modern, because it was one of those clear cut autographs, but it was canvas. I'm like, well, why can't I find a base canvas of this card unsigned? Because I loved the way the card looked. And then because when you're learning about cards, as you guys know, especially Modern, there's a lot of layers to like what the heck is going on. Like, why am I getting this and not this? And so I had to spend a lot of time, Cardboard Central or whatever the heck it's called. But just on that website, looking at checklists and understanding short prints and variations. I mean, it was really a lot to take in. But it was pretty significant in that matter, because I learned what is out there, what is desirable, what I should avoid, what is too expensive. And that's always the toughest thing when you're getting into collecting, right? Is like finding out where your player's market is, and like doing the research to do it, or to be buying at the right price. So, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion too, but that was a lot, because I'm like, well, how come Fleury's this much, but Vasilevsky's a third of that, and they're basically at the same level? Like, what's wrong with this picture, But anyways, that was something else, let me tell you. How about this one here for you guys? Because I don't have too many of these. I have one good story, but like first trade that you made when you got back in, because that's a pretty big memory, I think, for all of us. Because with like the forums, Kelvin, right? Sports Car Forum. I mean, trading on there was pretty popular. Hobby Insider as well is a popular place that people trade. That whole side of the hobby is still kind of newish to me, because you're trying to, figure out a trade value with these massive cards, as opposed to like, hey, here, Tim, you can have my Datsuk score base for the Fleury base. And we're like, hey, nice, easy trade. It seems like it's very much more complex. Do you guys remember your first deal that you made?
I don't think I can. I can probably look. Can I even look it up? Does this,
or at least
still have it?
One that stands out, like just that whole process of like back and forth?
Oh, jeez.
So, let's see. For me in particular, I'll be honest with you. I did not do a lot of trading. When I got back in, I did maybe one low end trade. And then beyond that, and we're talking about 2011, from 2011 to present day, I've probably only ever done 2 trades, and one being included, the one I made around a month ago.
Okay.
So I haven't really done much trading, but for that very purpose that you sort of talk about, and especially for me, that I'm looking for very particular or specific cards, and it's just tough to find the right person who has the right wants, and we have the same values, things like that. For me, it's a little difficult, I'm not gonna lie. And so for me, I do get a lot of my collecting or my collection from just buying, doing research, buying on various platforms, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you find, Kelvin, that that's the toughest part? Like you did some pretty big trades, obviously, when you're at the expo. You've talked about that a bit on one of the episodes in the past. It's like finding the like-minded people has got to be one of the trickiest things, right? Because you meet all these people like, hey, I want to trade for this, and you start talking, and one person's way over here, and you're way over here, and you just got to be like, all right, that's unfortunate. It's done. It's not going to happen. Have you kind of dialed in that group of people, where you're kind of like-minded with trading?
The thing is, I think I've had more success trading, I think, recently, like even at the expo or with other like collectors. I think had easier success because I think everyone values. It's easier to value cards now. I think because there's just more resources and stuff, and people are more knowledgeable. And like compared to back then, everyone used the value wasn't always there for cards, right? Like it was a lot of cheap cards, so then a lot of people use book value. I still remember this vividly. It was the the Hockey Heroes set from Series 1. I think Brodeur was in 910. Oh, 9, I think it was in that one. And that book value is at like $6. $5 or $6, depending on what. And I think there's like eight or 9 cards in it, not including like the header and the canvas one.
Okay.
So then, yeah, if you add that up, it's what, like $40. Some people's like, oh yeah, this is valued at $40. But then that's a book value versus like the actual value. These are selling for like probably under $1, and you're like, people are always like, oh, this is worth $40. Give me your rookie patch auto that's also worth $40. I'm like, I don't know if it works that way, And so I think that was a problem back then. Now since that book value is kind of like completely eliminated, except for maybe people still do it. I haven't really checked on the forums, but yeah, with eBay comps and like 130 point, Terra Peak, it's like you just have a lot of resources. So I think it's a lot easier to trade now. But it's a different story if it's cards that you want to trade for, because that is really hard. Because like Tim, we probably collect very specific things, very specific cards, right? Or just hard to find cards. So like even if you find the card, it's probably not available. So, but yeah, that's like a whole different story. But I think trading is easier nowadays for sure.
Well, I think like Tim, I haven't done many, but I did trade for my favorite card in my collection. It's arguably my favorite, the Honored Hopefuls of Fleury from Artifacts. I mean, one of the coolest set designs in the modern hockey era. I think it was helpful to find someone who understands like that it's one of your most desired cards. Like for me, it was my most desired card that I wanted. Like I set my sights like, this is the one. If I don't add any others this year, this is the one I want to get. And, he was a fellow Fleury fan. I had 2 cards that he really wanted. And he understood how much that it would mean to me to have the card. Like everything has got to line up when you trade on the high end like that. I feel like, unless you're like an investor type. And you and Tim and you and I do a 3-way trade and we're all swapping PSA 10s with like some cash involved or something. Like, I feel like, that when you get sentimental with your cards and another person feels the same way, I feel like that is a bit, in my experience so far, trading has worked out really well for me. And there's guys that want to trade that are very set in their ways. And I respect that, like, dude, that's cool. We try to work, we can't figure it out. No worries, no hard feelings, and move on. And but the ones that I have worked out with, I like establishing some kind of I don't want to say relationship, but like, a line of communication where you're seeing what the person likes to collect. You're hearing about their story, how they got into Instagram and all this stuff. And then you approach the trade, 10, 20 minutes later. And I feel like that's a pretty good approach that I see people take, but sometimes they're just like, what do you want for this Fleury? I'm like, that's not really how it works, man. Like, let's talk for a few minutes. So yeah. And one kid I got to give a shout out to, he's been on Instagram for a while, but he has a new account called The Fleury Collector. I don't know if he's followed either of you guys.
Yep.
His name's Alex. He's a good kid. He's still in high school, and I want to give him a shout out because being a younger person collecting can be tough because I know people might take advantage of that. He knows his stuff. And I think that is a huge thing when you're trading with anybody. It's awesome when, like, Kelvin and I were having some fun. Like, he was going to buy a card for me, and I'm like, nah, it's 35. And you're like, nah, it's 30. Like, we both already know what the value of that card is. You know what I mean? Like, so going into these trades, it's good to know that people understand, like, the whole book value doesn't matter. A really high comp and a really low comp, it's got to be the values probably in between. So knowledgeable people make a huge difference. So anyway, there's my spiel. This is an interesting point. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yes, that was a hard pill to swallow until recently.
Yes.
But I think it's hard. I mean, I'm sure Tim, I don't know, are you like, is it hard for you to give up a card? Say it's out of 50, but like it's just super hard to come across. Like you haven't seen it in like maybe like a year plus. Would you be willing to give it up for like a card that's like out of 10 that you probably don't like, you don't like as much as the 1 out of 50, but like you just have like a stronger connection. Like I think that's kind of the best scenario I can think of, because like with trading, it's like, you know, some cards you hold like, you know, more maybe sentimental value or just like whatever it is more than others, but like the other one's like more rare.
Yeah. I have a trade. My most recent trade directly applies to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned before, or if you've seen on Instagram, I recently acquired Alexander Barkov titanium rookie draft position out of 2.
Yeah.
It required me to give up a card in a 3-way trade that I did not ever imagine letting go, because number 1, it's from one of my favorite subsets of all time, and number 2, it was of Datsuk. And so it involves myself and Brady, and it's the Datsuk card that I had to give up in this 3-way trade was the 2001-02 Bowman Young Stars auto out of 50.
Oh,
it's
right.
funny. So you're saying out of 50, and I did not ever imagine myself letting that go. I love that set. That was one of my first big Datsuk rookie autos. He only has 4 rookie autos. And that's one of the best that you could really ever get. And it was hard for me to let that go, but the situation at hand, I mean, I'm doing titanium right now. I don't think I'll ever come across another Barkov out of 2.
Yeah. No.
We don't know if it's still in the box. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to strike, and everything worked out between myself, Brady, and the other dude. And you know, most of the times it's hard for me to let cards go, but in this particular case, you know, I just had to strike, and so I did let it go.
Dude, Kelvin is the best now. He's got the ability to trade stuff that at one point he loved, and he's like, well, this card's nicer, so that one's gone, you know, and like, which that detachment in a way, you're right, because like the Barkov, you're never going to see the other one, and if you do, it's going to be like a big time Panthers collector or a set collector.
Yes.
You know, if it's out there. But yeah, I'm so new to it too. Like, I think that's where I struggle is you guys have been around for the last, 10 plus years collecting. And so you've had cards in these collections for a while, and you're like, okay, you can slowly maybe let stuff go. Maybe it's not as new and shiny or whatever. But for me, I'm still really 2 years into collecting Fleury, and like, I can find something to like about every single card in my collection, honestly. So it's, especially though those ones, like you said, Kelvin, out of 50, or how about this card, for instance? It's not even numbered.
Oh, yeah.
One hasn't sold on eBay, and I mean, when PWCC was out, for like the last 10 years, or since it came out, like, I can't give that card up. Yeah, it might not be very expensive, but I'm not going to see another one likely forever. So, yeah, I don't know. It's so tough to make that call, but I guess if somebody said like, hey, you can have this shield of Fleury from Ultimate. Like if Kendall did that, and he said, but you have to trade me like 2 cup patch autos. I'd be like, okay, I need to do this, Yeah. So I guess it just depends on the card, right?
It does.
Yeah, definitely does. And it depends what your goal is too. Because the thing is, like, as player collectors, realistically, you cannot have every single card. The checklist is way too big, right? So you just got to slim down. So like, Tim focuses on rookie cards. Matt, you probably prefer the cup cards, Panini cards. I'm like, I prefer Panini cards. Yeah. And if the thing is, you got to narrow down what you like. because things, yeah, it'll get too expensive, or you got to do some sort of trade-off. So I think once you get to that idea of like you can't have everything, and then you have like a want list, or like a rough list of cards that you want, I think that makes your life a whole lot easier. Because before, like on eBay, I'm sure we've always come across this every week.
Yes.
You just weren't on your phone, you missed an auction, and you get so sad. I'm like, oh geez. But then, I mean, I still do, but like it doesn't feel as bad now. I'm like, whatever. You see it often enough. I'm not too worried. I used to be like, I need this. I haven't seen it in like 3 months. I need this. And then it's like, hey, it's just 3 months. It's cool. You just gotta be patient.
Yep.
Take your time. It's not. It's different obviously if it's like a sought after card, but if it's one that you somewhat see on a frequent basis, I think you can take your time and yeah, just make sure for the cards that you really want, you gotta strike. But yeah.
All right. I'm seeing that. I have an example here from Upper Deck. They did the Flurry Program of Excellence canvas.
Oh yes,
card.
Yeah.
And Flurry, I've talked about this too much, so I'll just be quick with it. He just doesn't get in as much stuff as he should. So when he is in stuff, it's hard for me knowing that there's way more of those out there. But the first week, I only see like 5 of each. And you're like, well, how rare is this? It's not numbered, but it's like a case hit for the blacks. But there's so much product. So like really, like you said, Kelvin, I could certainly do a better job of backing off and not having the first Flurry that shows up on eBay be in my collection, because it's going to cost me more that way. So I've definitely got better. I waited a while for those, and I bought them from that Two Bros seller on eBay. I bought from them a lot, and they've opened a lot of product. And so I know, they're going to get here safe. They're going to get here quick. So you pay a few extra bucks for that. But lately though, I've been able to like stay away from the ones out of 100 or even out of 50, knowing EPAC's coming along at some point.
Yeah.
It'll get those cards on the ComC for cheaper.
Yes.
So just having to be patient, and that way when a card like that shows up, I'm ready to pounce on it. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's some really good advice, man. Because have you guys noticed this too? I was talking to somebody. It was like, I need to sell my cards or whatever. And like you see these massive amounts of cards being posted for sale. Like, where'd you get all these? And everybody usually says, during COVID, I just went crazy and just bought everything. And not being focused as a collector will be your greatest undoing, especially if you're buying stuff like prospecting and they don't work out, you're wasting money. So, being focused is so important, especially for Tim, for crying out loud. He's a Red Wings fan. Like he could collect anybody. He's got 20 incredible players that you could just find thousands of cards of, man.
That's so true.
Oh, yeah.
Focusing is really the first thing that's hardest to achieve when you get into collecting. And so that's the pitfall that a lot of people just get into right off the bat. Myself included. I had so many people that I wanted to focus on. And it's funny because I still do now. I have like a chaotic focus because I have so many players that I collect. But within each collection, I do have a focus. Yeah. But it was really hard to achieve that right off the bat when I first started many years ago.
Yeah.
So that is hard for many new comers to really achieve.
Yeah, it's hard because I mean when you get into collecting, it's like everything is new, right? You want the newest stuff, but then you don't really have a goal. You kind of like just collect, oh, it's cool, cool cards, and then you can say you like McDavid, for example. All right, I want to collect McDavid. I mean, just you can go make we'll just pick McDavid. He's been around for a while at least. Mm-hmm. So and then say you want to backtrack, like, oh, let's see his cooler cards, and you backtrack, and then you're like, oh man, rookie. Okay, maybe McDavid's a bad example. Let's go with Joe Thornton. All right, he has a long-standing history. All right, you're like, oh, I like Joe Thornton. Then you backtrack, and you see all these cards from like the early 2000s, 2010s, and then his 98 stuff, and then that's just like a whole new world. You're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, I want every Joe Thornton card, and then you go through the whole scenario, you buy all these low end stuff, and then obviously that adds up, and then you're like, oh, like his autos and jerseys, and then you just kind of have this collection. But then at that point, it's like what are you collecting because of Joe Thornton, or are you collecting because you like the card? But then that's per collectors, I guess, what they want out of it, right? Like what, maybe they just like having that that amount. They rather have the volume versus, I guess, quality. I mean, that's fine. If that's your thing, that's cool. And then obviously, that doesn't last long. You're like, oh, you have all these cards, and then that's when you go into the higher end stuff, and then you go into this deep pool, and then I think that's kind of like the journey people go. Or like maybe you don't even want to be a collector. You just like a player collector. You just like all these guys. I like Draisaitl. I like Cider. You just it's hard to stay focused. That's the hard part. It's there's just so much, and there's so much history, and you can go even beyond Marty. You go even to vintage, and then that's like a whole nother ballpark.
Right. It's almost too much though, and so like Tim, like you're saying, you have to, even if you're going to collect 10 different players, having a focus within that is essential, because none of us have the funds to buy everything that shows up. And none of us have the, nobody's got the time to find all of that stuff. So you really, I think, being focused in some way is the only way to feeling like you're a fulfilled collector, because the hunt is always on, but you also want to have a feeling of accomplishment and fulfillment when you look at what you've put together over the years. And that doesn't happen if you're just buying willy-nilly. There's no way. Not at all.
Yeah. But I think I think that's a mistake you kind of have to learn though, or else you wouldn't know, right? You just kind of, it's just something, you just kind of, if you want to be in it for like a long time, or you just have the passion for it, it's just something you need to learn, because you won't know what you really want until you start to like get to that point, and then that's when you realize, all right, I need to focus on X cards or X player.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, that's it. That was, I liked look where the hobby memories topic went. That was pretty fascinating. Just goes to show, I think these podcasts too, my goal, I guess, as an educator, and you two having been collecting hockey longer than me, is to try to give food for thought to collectors. You know what I mean? Something for them to consider, maybe adjusting their approach or sharing their approach, that maybe we can be like, hey, I never really thought of that. That's good thinking. But being goal oriented is a must. I think we all agree on that. So that's something to take away from there. Even when we were little kids, it was like I focused on goalies, and some other people collected Red Wings or collected Gretzky or whatever. Like we all had kind of a goal in mind. So that hasn't changed. Kelvin, you had an interesting topic too. I mean, we kind of floated around this in a way. We're talking about value. You had been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, right? When it comes to boxes and such. What was that?
About pack odds. We can do player odds as well too. And then if it correlates to value or desirability. I know me, you, and Logan talked about it in the chat last week, and I thought it was really interesting because you see, I think a good example would be Day in the Cup. Like those have very high pack odds, but the value doesn't always correlate with that. And I think part of the reason is it's just like another base card. I feel like if they did more with it, I think it could be very, very nice. Obviously, maybe that's like their thought. It's like, it's like you can compare to like Topps, like the super short print of a player, and I don't think that works that well in hockey. I don't know. I haven't obviously there's some great ones like the Phil Kessel one with the hot dog. That's probably like the best one. That's like, I think that's the only good one. Like, because I see the Marty one, I'm like, that's a cool picture, but it doesn't really do much for me because it's just a base card. But I think you gotta have something with it, like even a cool photo. I think would do much better. I mean, I guess all of them are pretty cool photos, but I guess do something that's not a base card. I think that would be my stance on it, because it doesn't. Because for something that's insanely hard to pull, it should be like, you would think it's like should be super valuable. This is not just like one per case. This is one per like multiple cases. So
Right.
It'd be interesting to talk about.
Well, it's funny too because that explains. I was like, a Marty Brodeur came up in Series 1 this year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Kelvin, this day with the cup, dude. Like, Fleury has 2, I have 1, and I can't find the other one. He's like, nah, he's convincing himself not to get it, and I didn't understand it because I'm like, well, it's super tough to pull. It's a great picture because like he's holding the cup, but I mean, you're talking about multiple layers here. You're talking about do odds relate to value, and does the odds correlate to having a sweet looking card?
Yes.
And so what about you, Tim? Let's focus on Day with the Cup. I think those are great cards to focus on. Have you grabbed any of any players?
I have not. I know of Day with the Cup cards, but I haven't picked up any for my player collections. But when we're talking about pack odds and whatnot, another set that comes to mind or subset are blank backs or peachy blank backs.
Yes. I love those. Love them.
And so I'll give you guys a perfect example with relation to value. I know Jack Eichel hasn't really, picked up where he's left off necessarily, but I picked up a couple of years back a blank back of his rookie year card for pretty cheap. And at the time, I think he just got injured or whatnot, so maybe there was trepidation within the market. But still, the price at which I got a blank back of Jack Eichel was astounding to me.
Right.
And so, I mean, when it comes to pack, I don't necessarily think that within this time in this modern hobby, it necessarily correlates with value anymore. And like what Kelvin was saying, maybe if Day with the Cup was executed a little bit better with regards to design, maybe it would. But another set that I'm thinking of is also something that I'm picking up with some players that I collect, like Anthony Mantha. I just picked up a Glow Peachy card.
Yes.
I'd imagine that those have pretty high pack odds, but yet, you could get I saw a couple Crosby and Ovechkin sales go for around 200. Now, I don't know what people consider 200, but that to me, that's affordable. In a sense.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not as expensive. So pack odds may not necessarily correlate with values strongly.
And it's tough I love O-Pee-Chee, by the way, like one of my favorite products every year, especially when our guys get those bonus cards. Like talking about the blank backs, I love grabbing those. And I've grabbed a few Flurries for what I thought was way too cheap. We're talking like $15, $12 for a blank back. And I'd love to get Aaron on here and get his take on it. I don't know if he's watching, Crease Collector, but he did a whole write-up on those. And because Jonas Enroth has a few, I think. Or Mike Moll, his goalie coach. And he talked about like there's a consensus that the print runs 5 to 10. But because there's no serial number, no indication of rarity, same with Day with the Cup, we don't know how many are made. It could be 20, it could be 50. You cannot go off of a serial number to determine value, So assuming that the blank backs have a print run of 10, let's say, would you rather have a Jack Eichel that's got a serial number out of 10, or would you rather have the blank back? I would rather have the blank back because it's more affordable and it's more unique. So, I mean, I've always been into those kind of cards, the sneaky rare cards, where I don't know what the odds are on the blank backs, but it's got to be multiple cases till you see one. So, I mean, I guess the question we should ask is it because there are so many collectors out there who are, I don't want to say misinformed, but just not informed enough to even know what a blank back is? Like, oh, they cut it off the box or something, I mean,
that is a very good point.
Yeah.
I don't think that, and it's fun that you say like cutting the card right out the box. I mean, I see a lot of posts on Facebook groups of people pulling a blank back, for example, and then asking, "What's this?" It's common to me, and so I do think that lack of information,
right? That's better.
Value.
Yeah.
Big time.
Right. Yeah. It's. I don't know if you guys do this. I do this every time an O-Pee-Chee gets listed that I don't have the blank back of. I see if the person's put a picture of the back of it up there because maybe they don't know. and it's not labeled correctly.
Yep.
So because I've got a few, and you don't. There's no difference on the front. The stock is the same. I think I have a Jari, and when I bought the Jari, I was like, what is this? Like it says blank back, but like why would you do this to a card? Because this is when before I collected Flurry, I didn't really know what was going on. So I'm sure there's a lot of collectors out there that see that and are just confused, and so they don't know that why would this have value? So those are some great examples. Like Day with the Cup, though, that's like you buy a jacket from Old Navy and you buy a jacket from Nike, but because it has the Nike swish, it's got 3 times the value, but it's made of the same material. It looks the same. It's like you got the Day with the Cup. It's got this like aura around it about how amazing it is, because all the player collectors love those. Set collectors love them, and team collectors love them. Whereas a blank back, for instance, unless you're well informed, you're not going to really know what the heck it is. So anyways,
there's a ton to break down out of it. I mean, you can even go back to like 10, 11 score. I don't remember. There's a lot of different. There's like French back. Like red back, I think. There was a couple different variations, and it's like I remember at the time when I was opening, I was like, I flipped through every base card. I'm like reading, like, oh, is this the French one? Is this the right color? And the thing is, it's for me at the time, I thought it was cool because it's just like a variation. But then now looking back at it, it is still cool, but like, I don't think the value would be there. I mean, like, there's a ton of that stuff. Not a lot of people like it. Not a lot of people can identify it. Like, it's just, oh, glossy. Yeah, the glossy is another one too. It's like you can't tell. Like you just flipping through it, and then you're like you just miss it. Like I looked at my box of score somewhat recently, and I'm like, there's like a ton of glossy cards just squeezed in between. It's like, and there's like you really can't tell. There's like very very little difference, and obviously there's like no desirability. There's no value. Like maybe player collectors, maybe they'll pay. God, no, that price.
$30 for 36 packs. Imagine that.
I remember I paid 25 Canadian, 20 or 25 around then, at like shows or like at my card shop. It's just like you can't beat a $20 rip, but
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned that. I don't know why gold is in red. I don't know if maybe that doesn't exist or something, but I haven't even known to look for that for the French back of Flurry.
Yeah, it's hard to identify. I mean, you just can't tell. You have to actually read each back of the card. So like I just like grab all the base cards, I flip it, and then I like just cycle through it. Well, I did that every time.
To the list. Add that to the want list, because I love finding that kind of stuff. Like But look at this. Me and Tim are learning. I don't know if you knew that already, Tim, but I did not know about the French backs.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely see what you're saying. And one set, not hockey, that sort of spoke to me about this. One of my first loves was Topps Heritage Baseball.
Oh,
yes.
Heritage has a lot of these little variations. And one little thing about me, whenever I rip cards, especially when it was Top Heritage, I never threw them away because I'm always looking to see, did I miss something? And it's funny because a couple of years back, I ripped open old Topps Heritage Baseball. I'm going through them, trying to see if I can find Derek Jeter base cards because I wanted to build up a little bit of a Derek Jeter collection. I'm bored.
yeah.
And it found out that I had a little variation of Derek Jeter's name in a blue color. So I had like the blue parallel of Derek Jeter. I mean, it wasn't really worth much, maybe a $5, $10 card, but it's just so hard to track down these variations and then understand what you're looking at. You know?
Yeah.
And so that definitely does play a factor in the value too.
Well, how about the flip stock, Kelvin? We've talked about those. Those come out of Heritage now, and those are out of 5, but they're not serial numbered. And I'm thinking there is no way that some of them have not been given away or thrown away. People who don't keep base cards, there's no way they all make it out.
Yeah.
And to have found a Connor Joe, Kelvin found one, and to find I've seen 2 glass now, including the one that I have. I'm like, if you're not really paying attention, obviously it's in where the inserted card goes. Nowadays, companies put them right in the middle, or after like 2 or 3 cards is the insert or whatever. If you're not ready for it, you know, you're not gonna feel that it's reverse flip stock or whatever. You're not gonna know, and you're just gonna go right past it when you're doing a case break. You have no clue.
Yep.
So there's a lot of those, and I think we could even do a whole episode on just those types of cards, you know, where we're talking about like the sneaky rare cards that are out there. There's a lot of them in baseball and hockey that I think collectors, especially when you're newish or brand new getting in, you might think, well, why is this card listed for, you know, $50? It doesn't look any different than the base card, right? So yeah, that's another good example. Gosh, Heritage and then Gypsy Queen, they've got like all these different variations out there.
Yeah.
Alan
Ginter.
Yes.
It's another one.
Oh man. Yeah, there's too many good ones. I was actually watching a break of O-Pee-Chee this year, and some guy pulled a blank back 101 red, and I was like, oh, that would be so exciting, you know, like, yeah, they do a good job with that product. They do really good with all the, you know, photo variations of players, and that's why it's so important to educate yourself with the market. You know, go on eBay, look at sold listings, understand why something sold for what it did. And if you don't know, just ask questions, because that's what we've all had to do. I've asked Kelvin so many times, like, dude, what's up with this flurry? It's like, well, this was an update, or this was this. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So it's always good to have friends in the hobby for resources like that, you know, where you can each help each other out. But yeah, I mean, so I guess to answer the question in a way, like, I think pack odds, they might not even be paid attention to that well, to be honest. Like in the newer stuff, like I have a Flurry O-Pee-Chee red update from Series 2. He's in a Blackhawk uniform, and the reds were like 1 out of 280 packs or something like that, maybe even more. But they only sell for like $2.
Yep.
Like, what? You have to open 10 boxes in essence to get one of anybody. So
yeah. But the thing is now, the thing with Series 1, I feel like it's I mean, the volume that they're printing is like way more. Like I remember I was talking with Logan earlier this week. It's the rookie, I forgot the Series 1. I forget it's called Rookie Review or Rookie something Golds, and they're like 1 out of 240 packs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name, but yeah, but then they're selling for like $1 or $2, and then it's so cheap. But then at the same time, when you look at it, it's like, oh, there's like on CompC, there's like 20 or 30 of them of each, right? So there's probably like there's just a ton of them up there. Yeah, e-pack, there's a ton of it. And then if you compare, if you go back to Series 1, let's go back to like 2013-14 with the Shining Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I know me and Matt talked about it before. It's the rainbows. It's hard to identify unless you like have the 2 cards next to each other.
Yep.
And then not only that, each position has different pack odds.
Yep.
So like I think it was the wingers are the more rare ones, but the sneaky rare one is defensemen's, because it was only in blaster boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to open quite a bit of blast. I forget, it was like 500 something for it. So then that's quite a bit. Like you compare 500 something blaster packs to like, I think it was like 1,000 like hobby packs, like blasters. It's just way more harder to hit. And then you just don't see, like if you try to even look it up, you don't even see it because it's just that rare. And sometimes you won't even know, like if that was like your only hit, you won't even know that's a special one compared to what the regular one looks like. So it's just one of those things. It's hard. Yeah, you just got to get informed. You got to learn from these mistakes if you happen to accidentally sell something cheaper, or like if you it's just. And then on the same note, it is nice to go to card shows and people don't know what they have.
Gosh, you and Logan have Logan might be the king of, like, I don't think anybody's ever going to top
Logan's is by far the best because he PSA 10 did, so his score was the best. So
yeah, Tim, Logan found, I don't know if you saw this part of the episode, he found an Alex Ovechkin 13-14 Prism Silver. Is it 13-14? I get the year right?
Probably,
He found it silver, which those raw go for big time amounts. And I joke about this phrase, but they're tough to find. He found an Ovechkin. He got it for $1. He graded it and it 10 at PSA.
Gosh, wow.
Now let's think about the return. I mean, he probably spent what, 50 to grade it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But think about what that thing, when he's all done and retired, what that card's going to be worth.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
So,
that was an insane win. Like I'm trying to find mine. I don't know where it is, but I opened a ton of Prism back then because it was cheap. But yeah, I found it in my pile.
Bad break, right? How many didn't you get? Like 2 silvers per box?
Yes, and then you get like one sticker auto, and I never pulled the color out of Prism. I mean, granted, you only get silver or gold, but it was Select. You have a better chance. I enjoyed Select more, even though the price point was a little higher. But Select was way more fun to open. But Prism was just not a good product. I mean, Panini in general, it was not fun to open, but there's just so many cool cards.
Yeah, on the secondary market for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's. I can't wait to go to the expo next year and go box hunting for those blank backs and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, those sellers have accumulated collections with all our guys in it. But yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there's so many. I wanted to bring up what Carl said here. Any of us that Kelvin. Kelvin's gone. Yeah, there he is. But I mean, think about those, for instance, those MVP superscripts and the gold scripts out of 100 in the 90s, especially. I mean, those, because it was such a cheap product and the odds are already tough enough, and the hope that somebody still got them lying around after 20 years to buy them is, it just makes them even harder to find. So pack odds definitely correlate to value, I think, more with the older cards as opposed to, some of the newer stuff, especially because e-pack, you know what I mean? Like, so many people buy stuff on there and they are just competing to get the lowest price on ComC, which benefits those of us that don't open. So like you talked about the Shining Stars, I think I got a Flurry Shining Stars Black from 1819 Upper Deck, or Shooting Stars, I think. And the blacks were case hits, and I got it for like $3. It's just crazy to me. Like, come on now. So yep, that's definitely changed the game. But yeah, so I mean, what's our final say, at least for today? Do pack odds correlate to value, or what's the determining factor? It's definitely not pack odds, right?
Yeah, for me,
No, go. Oh yeah, I was gonna say no. I don't think I don't. That's my answer. No.
I'm gonna agree with that, and I'll just say, if anything, the main thing is just player performance. If anything.
Yeah. It's a more a player thing than like a set thing. That's what. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Yeah, and the hype is so big nowadays. I think hype. Who did I tell this to on Instagram? I was having a conversation with somebody, or maybe it was in our group chat, and I just said it seems like the hype is. Performance is like second, but hype can trump all when it comes to value. You know what I mean? Like, you get it. And no offense to Lafreniere, I think he's going to be a great player. It's just going to take him a little bit longer. It seems like he's in an upward trend, but like, look at his hype and look at Kaprizov, and you tell me which one should have been, the most expensive, even after 2 months into the season 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So the hype that a player gets generated, it seems like that's going to trump all, at least with newer guys. And then, I'm at a disadvantage with my player because he still plays, whereas Brodeur is established and he's kind of going to stay where he's going to stay. And Datsuk seems like he's expensive, but like that's the expectation.
Yeah.
Flurry is just kind of like this constantly, So it's very hard to navigate that at times. Obviously, I like when it's going that way, because I don't care. Cards are awesome. So yeah. Anyways, well, I think since we're already at an hour, why don't we just dive into your second topic there? We can touch about some of like the difficulties or challenges when it comes to the hobby next time. But a lot of stuff went down these last couple weeks. Some pretty exciting signings, some pretty exciting trades. The draft happened, which there was a pretty big shocker in my mind in the draft. But just when you guys go for it, what was one of the, like, talk about the Red Wings, Tim? They made a pretty big trade for another goalie. What are your thoughts on Ville Husso coming to the Red Wings?
Well, it surprised me, that's for sure. Did not expect that. You know, like we got Alex Nedeljkovic the year prior, but I'm excited for that. It really solidifies our back end, you know, because you've got to start from the net out. And so to have Billy Huso, if he can keep up that performance, and then Nedeljkovic, if he can continue to just get into his stride, you know, that's really going to solidify our net. And I like
Right.
that. I really look forward to that.
Do you feel like that was a good move, you know, rather than putting all your faith in Nedeljkovic? Do you think it's more of a security type thing, or do you think it's to challenge him to step up?
I think, yeah, especially with the competition, hopefully it'll drive Nedeljkovic. You know, that competition will also, you know, drive Huso. But I think more so having two solid options in the net that really Eiserman was, you know, looking to execute. And yeah, that took me back. That's for sure.
If just to relate it to the hobby, if you were to, I don't want to use the word invest, so let's use the word collect.
Yeah.
If you were going to collect one of those two goalies, which one would you go for?
Yeah. So that's a good question. And you know what? I think for me, it would probably be, so you have the shiny new toy in Billy Huso, which sometimes drives the market. But then you have what you know and what you already know in Alex Nedeljkovic. As a Red Wing fan, you already went through an entire season with him. And for me, I guess it would go with Nedeljkovic because I already know what I'm going to get out of him for the most part, what his baseline is and where he is moving forward. You know, so for me, it would be Nedeljkovic.
Okay. Well, it's going to be interesting because you know this too, Kelvin. Like Ville Husso going into the playoffs was the guy for that team. He was playing the majority of the games.
Yeah.
Jordan Bennington, a cup-winning goalie, was on the bench.
Yeah.
I think he found his form in the playoffs there, sadly, against Minnesota and then against Colorado until he got hurt. But I would probably go with Husso because I would think this is a bummer because I'm experiencing this now with Fleury and Talbot. One, Nedeljkovic starts off slow. Husso comes in, plays well. Now he's a starter.
Yeah.
You know, and if the Red Wings, who are on the upward trend already with their young talent, I could see it going either way. But I think I could see an increase if you're looking at value in Husso's card being a lot more than Nedeljkovic. But then again, Nedeljkovic was the leader in goals against average 2 years ago. So
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I think the Red Wings defense is only going to get better, let alone their scoring to get goalies wins. So, well, we'll have to retouch on that once the season gets going because, you know, a goalie battle is exciting on the outside looking in, but when you're one of your favorite players is in that battle, it can be a bit of a conundrum for sure. But who do you follow now, Kelvin? Obviously, Marty played for New Jersey, but are you a Maple Leafs fan at heart? Are you Detroit a little bit?
Yeah, I live right across Detroit, so I do have a soft spot for Detroit. I still keep in touch with Devils a little bit, but I am a NHL fan. I love all. There's some teams I might not like as much as others, but I mean, I watch any game. Whatever sounds interesting, that's what I'll watch during the year.
What trade or signing was a big deal for you then? Which one stood out where you're like, wow, okay, that's pretty significant?
Probably the Brinkhead one. I think Ottawa. I don't know how they pulled that off. That was so cheap. I don't know. Like someone brought it up. I was reading online. I was like, are they tanking for a chance at Bedard? Because they made some very questionable moves that made no sense at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Like like for Doc, all right, you can say, you know, it was pretty fair, but DeBrincat was 3 picks. That was a steal, and he was like one of the 2 best players on the Blackhawks last year. And like I get, you know, hey, you don't want to like I mean Blackhawks have a history of signing you know, giving away all their players that do pretty well, and then just sorry Logan, I know Logan knows about that.
Rough,
he talked about it too. Poor guy. But I mean, if their ultimate goal now is to land Bedard, you know, hey, you know, maybe the joke's on us in a couple of years. So that was very, very questionable. I don't know what they're doing, but Devils. I'm not surprised they picked defenseman. I thought they would trade. Maybe they didn't want it. Maybe no teams wanted to trade up. because it was interesting seeing Wright drop down to 4.
Mhm.
But like
I'm
in
happy about
hindsight,
it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you should be complaining about it, but like in hindsight, it's not that surprising because Montreal's probably like Slavkovsky had an insane showing with the Slovakian team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not surprised. He has an insanely high ceiling, but obviously still an unknown. But I don't think it was a bad pick. And then Devils obviously need defensemen, so they went with the best defenseman in the class.
Yeah.
So that's no surprise either. I feel like they could have gotten him a little bit lower, but probably the teams below didn't want to trade up. Coyotes, I like Cooley a lot. Cooley's very flashy, very very good player. So I'm not too surprised about it. And then obviously Seattle, Wright landed on their lap, so they did pretty well for that. So I think that's my take on it.
I think it's good for them too. They had a rough year,
Yeah.
which Vegas, like any expansion team in the history of sports from now on, has the wrong expectations on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Vegas came in, they got the best, one of the best goalies in the league still. You're welcome for saying that. To play for their team, and then they made all these trades during the expansion draft, like fleeced every team to get them not to pick players. So they got picks, and they just used those picks and got Carlson, got Stone, got all these Marchessault, got all these great players.
Yeah.
But I think for Seattle, especially, generating more hype is what they need, because they're not going to be good like the Red Wings were a couple years ago. You got to try to build the hype up so that even when the team's still struggling, you have these things to look forward to. Rookie of the year, you trade for Nedeljkovic. I mean, Yzerman's not going to sit back and let that team underachieve. And just like Schmidt Collector said, a couple more years under all those young players' belts. I mean,
that
I think that team in like 2024, 25 is going to be really tough, especially if they have Husso or Nedeljkovic playing at a high level. They got good defense. I mean, that's huge. And then Seattle needs scoring. I thought their defense at times was really good, but I'm still on the fence about Grubauer because I really want another player to collect, but I don't want it to be him. I want it to be like a young Spencer Knight type guy playing for Seattle, up and coming. So maybe one day that'll happen. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good for them. And obviously you guys know who I was the most interested in. That whole process was strange because I was speaking with my dad. I don't know if you guys follow rumors of players, like where they're going to sign, but it seems like misinformation is like so widely accepted on social media as being like an actual source. Like, my sources indicate Fleury's going to Toronto. Like, who are these people? Why are they allowed to say that? Because then you get, guys like All Fleury on Instagram posting all these like, Fleury's going to Toronto. He signed with Minnesota. No, wait, no, he didn't. Like, even Kevin Weeks mistweeted that. He tweeted Minnesota signed Fleury to a 1-year deal, and then it was complete nonsense. So like, it gets a little overwhelming when it comes to that stuff. So it was a really strange week, but I'm happy he's back in Minnesota and teammates love him there. Fans love him for the most part. So yeah, it should be good for 2 more years, which means collecting wise, I get 2 more years of Fleury cards, at least at minimum. Right. So can't wait for that. Can't wait for Minnesota Wild patch auto. That's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Have you guys saw the Kaprizov 1/1 Future Watch auto patch?
Yes, that
unbelievable.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Super nice.
And I love, like Panini Prism, I love SP Authentic on the back end, on the secondary market. I would never open a box of that, ever, because you're just going to get crushed in that product. You're going to get crushed.
Even back then, you get crushed too.
Yeah.
It just not it was never worth it. Like, yeah, I mean, if you have the thing is, if just like your first box you open, you absolutely crush it. That's probably you're spiraling into like the wrong direction. But like, I mean, that's something they have to learn on their own. But like, yeah, it's just one of those boxes you'll learn. I guess it's just not worth it ever. It was never worth it. It's just like, yeah, if you enjoy the thrill, yeah, go for it. But it was just always never worth it. I opened I didn't open that many. Probably a couple over the years, but I just get absolutely destroyed on them, and it was never fun.
I love when my landlord's dogs bark at some random person. It sounds like someone's getting attacked out there. Yeah, that's the wrong product to be opening. I think Series 1 or even I think O-Pee-Chee is the best product for somebody. If a buddy asks you, hey, I want to open a box for the first time, you got to have O-Pee-Chee or
Series 1. I
yeah,
think, yeah.
Series 1, Series 2. I think those are always always the best way to go. Yeah. Single
Yes,
product. Yep.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah,
You just get crushed. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone watches Ziri. He got crushed. What, for the 1920? He just got crushed for like 30 boxes. I don't think he pulled anything like maybe some okay guys, but like just absolutely crushed. And it was just always the same. Every year after year, you just get absolutely crushed. Like it was just you had to pull the top guy every time. I mean, I guess that's always the case, but
Well,
yeah, it just never the values never made sense. Obviously, gorgeous cards, great sets in there,
right.
but yeah, cracking is just not worth it anymore. Just
No.
these
Yeah.
prices are way too insane. I haven't cracked a hobby box in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the last one.
I did an MVP and O-Pee-Chee this year, and they those are $50 boxes, so I can get a box here for 50 plus $8 shipped. It's a fun rip, like no expectations.
Yep.
Maybe get a variation or something, but never. Those are the perfect boxes to open for fun and just kind of like see the different players and whatnot, as opposed to opening a stature box. Although I'd love to have that. When you see a stature box open and you get Joe Schmo's rookie auto out of there and that's your best card, you're just like, okay, what am I doing with myself? So it's not worth it.
That I think the highest end product I ever opened was at the time it was Panini Prime.
Right.
And that felt kind of bad. I mean, I got some good cards out of it, but
right.
yeah, it's just the thrill isn't there for like I don't know, it's more like gambling than like a thrill, I guess. It's just like it's like one pack, you get like I forgot how many cards. It was like 7 or 8 cards.
Yeah.
Like 2 of them are base. And I'm like, oh geez, like, oh, is this even worth it? Where's like people maybe enjoy the thrill, but for me I was like, oh, I just don't see the value here. It doesn't really add up. But I mean, ultimately the cards are really cool. So like I ended up being okay with it. But I liked the lower to mid end section. I think that's a good place. There's solid value, maybe not the highest ceiling, but you get cool cards and you won't get absolutely fleeced.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Tim. Like, if you could snap your fingers and have a box of any product that's been out in the last, let's say, since 2010, so last 12 years or so, what product would you love to open now? Like, let's pretend you're just given a box, so that way we can take the risk spending however much it would cost to get a box of this product now. What would you love to open just to experience seeing some of those cards?
That's a good question because my favorite modern set, my modern product is O-Pee-Chee Platinum. Like if we're going from 2010 to present, O-Pee-Chee Platinum is I always love it. So for me, that would be my. I think that would be my answer. O-Pee-Chee Platinum. Love all the parallels. Seismic Golds are some of my favorite parallels right now. That would be it for me.
Yeah, I'm a bit partial to the Cosmic. I think those are the coolest cards that they've ever done. I just Kelvin. That's like my first time really talking to Kelvin ever was about that parallel, and wishing that Brodeur was in there too. I'm still disappointed he's not, but hopefully next year. There's always next year. What about you, Kelvin? I mean, we know how much we both like Panini, but what box would you love to maybe try that you didn't get to open before?
Oh, I've tried most Panini products. I forgot I did open a Dominion 2 before. I would say, although I did say I didn't like these 1-pack boxes, but
going back on that now.
Well, the thing is, I would love just because I love the set would be either UD Black or O-Pee-Chee Premier. I think those would be my two
Premier.
picks.
Oh, wow, love that product.
I think those, yeah, like I would love to. Yeah, obviously, like I don't like one pack things, but like I just love the cards. Like I would just love every single card. Like everything. Like I forget what was the 1 year. Was it like 0910 that had the really nice base for Premiere?
Yes, the 0910, and they also had the remnant set in there, which was
Yeah.
completely beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like even coming down the base card, I would love every card that would come out of it. And then UD Black, obviously, just there's too much good stuff in that. There's just
Yeah.
there's way too much.
There's a market for that again right now. There is. I don't know why. I know they put it in Black Diamond or whatever, but excuse me, there's a market for that now, and I'm really surprised they don't bring that back. I really am. I think it would do well.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. Like yeah, everyone just loves. I mean, they probably know like yeah, everyone loves Black, and the fact that they still bring it back. I mean, there's something to be had there. And then I can say the same thing. It'd be really cool to see. I don't know if they'd ever do it because the cup is the exquisite equivalent, but I would love to see a standalone exquisite.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
I would say what Red Wings players would have them because they're the most beautiful. Is it 1819 exquisite? It's got the design that the last basketball release used. I don't have the gold of Flurry out of 10, but I have the base out of 99, and I love that card.
It might be 1920. I'm not sure. I have a Zadina exquisite from that year, and I'm trying to remember if they had that basketball feature on it.
Let me find it. Let me find it here.
Yeah.
Because Logan actually just got a. Let's go to his page.
Oh yeah, he had the.
He got the second cane out of 10, and I'm still looking for. Oh, he got another card that I have coming in. I can't wait to share it next week. It's freaking amazing. Oh, here it is, right here. This card right here. Can you imagine having a full release with this? This base set design? Like, oh man.
Or any of the old, like all the exquisite bases back in basketball, they're so nice. And
yeah,
I would love to see them do like a full retro of exquisite, but in hockey form. That would be.
I agree.
That would be insane. I don't know if they'd ever do that, but yeah, you never know.
That would be amazing. Gosh, Logan takes such good pictures on his profile. All you guys do. Every time I get into everybody's profiles, I just want to sit there and start scrolling because I'm like, okay, let me find something else I need to buy. I was gonna say National Treasures hockey, but here's the deal. I don't like that there's sticker autos in there. I don't like that. I know they have the ones with the giant pieces of the Stanley Cup and the autos that are on card. I mean, those are incredible. I always forget what they're called.
Buried Treasure?
Buried Treasure. Thank you. Yep. I should know what it's called because it's my most wanted Flurry, but I want to say Lord Stanley's because I think of that old in the game, the Lord Stanley's mug set, like a yellow background and the autograph. Mm-hmm. I would say Dominion, though. I just love the base cards look awesome. Like they're up there with some of my favorite looking base cards. So I would say I have to figure out what year of Dominion I'd want to open because they did it 2 years or 3 years.
11. So
they did it 10-11. I know they did it the first year.
Yeah.
They did it
all the way up until 13-14.
Yeah, they did all 4 years.
Okay, so I would say the first year because I know those base cards, they're horizontal and they've got the different colors for the parallels. And I know they got the legends in there, like Magnan Rayom has a card in there, which I've never seen in the last few years. They're all in collections. But I would say that one. I watched a lot of that stuff get broken on Cards Infinity on YouTube. I watched them do a ton of boxes. Yeah. And I just loved Barrasso was in there. Fleury was in there. Like all my Brodeurs in there. I think Felix Potvin's in there. Like all these great goalies that I loved, Patrick Waugh, growing up and modern were in that set. And the legends were in there. And just the card designs were really cool too. So I'd definitely go with that to be my box.
It's a good choice. It's fun to open, but
it's like 500, 600 bucks for a box. We'd have to like split it 5 ways and decide what we're gonna do if like we didn't hit any of our guys. Like, what are we gonna do with the rest of the cards? It would be fun though. Like if we found a box that 5 of us or 4 of us were at an expo or national, and there it is sitting there, it'd be like, well, do we record this break and just experience it as a group? Because there's no way one of us is just going to buy that outright. It's a terrible price. But to experience opening a box of that would be. Yeah. Or we could just open a Panini Pinnacle and see if we get an artist proof of somebody that actually still plays.
Yeah.
True. Oh, I have another product. Obviously, way out of range. 12-13 Fleer Retro.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
I always, I still remember this. I probably talk about it a lot, but like I remember, yeah, it was super expensive box when it first came out, and I remember it went on sale at one point, like a couple years later for like I think like $100 or something,
Oh,
and
you
then
didn't
you could
buy
buy
it?
a whole. It was a Klutzenchar, I still remember, and you could buy a whole. I think it was I forget if they did inner cases for those. I think they did. I think it was 6 case inners or 6 box inners. Sorry,
Okay.
and I remember being there. I'm like, maybe I was wrong. I forget, but like, I remember like, oh man, should I contemplate getting this case? I was like, this is kind of expensive. There's like no value. The rookies suck. At the
Yeah.
time, the inserts didn't really sell for much, but I wanted at the time wanted the PMG green rotor. I was like, maybe it's in there. I don't know. But then obviously, who knew that it would go up to that much? But
yeah.
I've always just because it was too expensive at the release, and then after a while, I was like, oh, I don't know. It's still, the value wasn't there, and it didn't make sense. But
One of the best releases. Looking even 10 years from now, we could all be talking, and we'd probably say that that's still one of the most significant releases that Upper Decks had for hockey. Bringing back those PMGs. Now, Tim, have you tried to grab any of those for any of your guys? Those red, blue, or green?
Yes, I have, and I was fortunate to do it before the huge craze, the PMG craze, because 2016-17 was a big year for me. I was going after Mantha, I was going after Aho. I have the whole Aho rainbow, so I have the PMG out of 5 rookie year Aho. I have the green Mantha. I also have the 1 out of 5 as well. I may have a couple of Larkins. I know I have the red Larkin PMG rookie. But yeah, I did try to hunt a couple of PMGs, and I got fortunate because at these prices now, there's no way I could do it.
No, no way. But that just shows the popularity of that insert, and they're going to be doing Metal Universe hockey for a long time. I can't imagine them not doing a PMG every year, a Jambalaya every year, Platinum Portraits every year. I think those are staples in today's world. But Kelvin and I just need to get on. I don't know how big of a fan you are of this set, but we need to get on Twitter and at Upper Deck every week and tell them to do a Flare Showcase standalone release.
Yes, I'm for it.
Make it happen.
Definitely.
Make it happen. And bring legends. Don't just put in all like 90. Did you guys see this? Did you look at Stature's set next year? 100 of them are rookies. 100 of the 200 cards in the set are rookies. Why?
wow, they bumped it up. Isn't it?
Much.
Yeah.
50. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 50.
So you're putting 100 rookies in there. If they all have autographs, like you're going to get a rookie auto of a guy in his like post-draft picture who's never stepped foot on the ice. Like I don't know. I don't like that philosophy. I like narrowing it down. Put more legends, put less rookies. I think put all the rookies in series 1, 2 and extended and maybe in another like O-Pee-Chee or something like that, an MVP, and leave all the big rookie classes on those. But that's another topic, I think.
They think because they increased O-Pee-Chee Platinum rookie class too, right?
I'm sure they did.
I think they bumped. I don't know if it was this year's or they're going to bump it up for next year's, but they're going to make it like it's going to be like Prism, where it's like 12 cards per pack, and like I think they're doubling the rookie class for that one as well too.
Really?
So they're putting that many base cards in.
I think it's for next year. I don't think they already did it, but I think I think they're just doubling everything. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm really curious that philosophy, because obviously you want to get products out to people, but at the expense of like making more product. I'd rather them make less and get it out to us sooner. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy here. Let me see if I can find it. 12 packs of 12 cards. Yeah, geez, that's different.
It's like they're like going like the Prism route, like modern Prism.
Yeah. One autograph per box still. Interesting. Huh. Well, I'm curious to see. I think we've seen some of those. Oh yeah. Did you see? I don't know if you saw this. I'll pull this up for you, Tim. This is the new parallel that they're doing this year. This is going to be a fun one. The lava flow.
Yeah, I saw in the preview. I saw a picture of that.
Yeah.
I wonder how nice it comes out in person, though.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I'm curious. Is it going to be like Was it Ovation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they have kind of like the crack the I guess the lava or crackling
Mm-hmm.
thing? Yeah, that'd be cool if it's like that.
I hope so. I mean, yeah. Jeez. Good. Let's put the 101 on there. Yeah, you guys are gonna get one of these in a box. They always do such a good job with the golden treasures, man. Love it. But yeah, I've seen some of the previews because they put them in the up the series 1 in, or what is it? Just not, I think regular OPG. You can get the previews out of there, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they look great. Like obviously the Cosmic, I love that, and I'm sure they're going to use the Chicago Blackhawks picture of Fleury, which I'm cool with. They used a good one. So that'll be fun. It should be cheaper because they're not very good right now. So be good to pick those up. But one thing, again, we've talked about this, Kelvin and Tim, obviously, it'd be nice for them to put legends in there, get Datsuk, get Brodeur, get Patrick Waugh, Gretzky, Bure, all these great Yager, all these great players, get them into OPG Platinum. Do like, that one year they had that Patrick Waugh All-Star card. I think it was 3 years ago. He was in OPG Platinum. He's in this 1991 or 92 All-Star jersey.
Yep.
That kind of stuff is so cool.
Exactly.
And Panini does it with basketball. They got all these legends in their sets. Why not?
I would appreciate. Yeah, I don't want them to do it every year, but I will like. Yeah, every couple of years is cool. I mean, they did it 18-19. Brodeur, the most recent is 18-19.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll be cool if it's within the next couple years. I'll be cool with that because I would. I mean, I can't imagine trying to get the rainbow every year. That would kill me. I mean,
it's
god.
The Emerald Forge is brutal, man. Because the first one of any player that pops up is always the most expensive, and so you're stuck in that, like, how high do I go?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of a tough one, but cool. Well, they haven't announced which product's coming out next, but I would like to see this come out before the season starts. Because this is last year's rookie class, so Raymond, seeing how Raymond and Sider and Caulfield and Zegras, their cards will do, would be really cool. Or right when the season starts, I think would be a good time to throw it out there. But yeah, great design wise. Well, just to wrap it up, I was thinking to myself, like, what would be a fun question to ask both of you guys and get a take on it. So many. You guys, we talked about having goals, right? Like trying to chase things down and find different cards for the collection. How about this? Because I showed the artist proof. Makes me think, what's a card on your want list that you're appalled or like shocked you still haven't found yet?
Ooh.
I have
check.
You got one, Tim?
I got one.
All right, go for it.
So Henrik Zetterberg, I pretty much got all the very low numbered rookie year stuff out the way. But there is this one from Be a Player, either Ultimate Memorabilia or Signature Series, one of those two, where it's a redemption card, right? It was I think a Calder redemption. And if Barrett Jackman won the Calder that year, so I think his card got made for that set. But it was a redemption card, not serial numbered or anything like that. But I'm trying to find it because I like to collect those oddities, right?
Right.
And so I have not seen one in, my goodness, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. And it's not supposed to be an expensive card, mind you. It could be had for like $5 to $10, hopefully. But, I haven't seen that one, and it's killing me because that's like one of the ones that I want the most of Zetterberg, and I cannot find it.
Yep.
Right.
What do you think is the reason none have shown up? What could be keeping them away from the market?
So it's just your basic redemption card, and at this point in time, like cards from the early 2000s, unless it's of a legend, and Zetterberg is not a legend just yet. I mean, it's not going to be well known. And then on top of that, it's probably not a well-known subset to begin with. So it's just probably tucked away in those 50-cent boxes that nobody really checks through time and time again, and just passes through.
Right.
The last one I saw was probably on ComC, like on an archive that I saw, and their past sold cards, and it was for a couple bucks. but on eBay,
Hmm.
I have yet to see one. And
Wow.
I search Zetterberg every day for the past 11 years, and like to not see one astounds me every time I think about it.
Well, too, cars like that could get buried in lots, so you got to
Yeah.
check all the lot pictures.
True.
And Kelvin, you know what the thing is though, if you tell Kelvin this and you show him a picture of one looks like, he's gonna find it. Dude finds everything buried in boxes because he's like me, and I'm sure you would do the same at the Expo or the National. You're just gonna dig through every hockey box because you don't know who you're gonna find of another player too. You know, you might find a Datsuk for Brady or Brodeur or Fleury or whoever else. Like, you know, there's the artist proof just sitting in a common box. You know, just that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Well, cool. That'll be a fun one to hear if you're ever able to find it. We'll definitely have to talk about it on the show because those are the cards. I feel like obviously the big patch autos and, you know, cards from the Cup, Panini, Dominion, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those carry significance already. But like tracking down that, like I think about a month ago, if you guys remember, I posted that victory card of Fleury where he's smiling and he's, you know, kind of in position to make a save. It was like that old school Upper Deck victory design, and it was like a card that was released in a promo pack.
Oh yes.
Right before COVID.
Yeah.
That type of stuff, I love finding that stuff because I had that on like in my top 20 wanted cards, and it's just like a $10 card, you know. And all of a sudden, there it was on ComC, and I couldn't get there fast. I'm like, please, nobody buy it. Please, nobody buy it. You know, yes. So I think those get me more excited than the big ones sometimes. So
yeah, I do have a picture of it. I don't have the ability to screen share because it's on my laptop, so I'm gonna, you know, maneuver my camera phone. But I have the listing from 2015, sold for $1.25 Canadian.
oh my gosh,
Pick it up. I don't know, but I have it.
Yeah, let's see it. Okay, there it is. Let me go full screen for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, I think I have the redemption card. There's a Brodeur one. I think it's like a redemption. There's like a redemption, and you have to write on the back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have that.
Yep.
That's good for me to know too, because now I can kind of, you know, when you're looking through sold listings or people selling stuff on, not that anybody might list that card necessarily, but if I'm on Instagram and I see a story sale, now I know to keep an eye out for that.
Yep.
That Parker set was so much fun. Those Parker sets that they did were really cool. A lot of really tough cards in there because a lot of them don't have print runs like they have a stated print run, but not a serial number. So cool. Yep, just learned something new. Had no idea those existed. What about you, Kelvin? What did you decide on?
Well, you know me, I can't pick one card. Okay, this one actually, okay, I'll pick one because I'll take two cards because I actually have not seen this card. I don't think ever. It's 1011 Zenith White Hot out of 25.
Yeah, the blue one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've seen every other player. I have not seen Brodeur. This card has eluded me even at the time too. I just straight up could not find it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know where they all are. I don't know if it even exists, but that's one that eludes me. And then one of the rare autos that I want that I haven't seen maybe one or two other times. It's the 1011 Contenders Leather Larceny auto out of 50.
I think this is funny because like both of those are some of the first cards I bought of Fleury. Like, oh yeah, those are cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those Leather Larceny are absolutely awesome.
The card itself, I had the set for like the base, but I was like, oh, at the time I was like, oh, do I want to do the autos? Oh, it does exist.
Yeah,
yes,
that was from a ComC sale. I figured it was on there.
Yeah, I assume it's probably on there, but I don't know. I mean, I took a lot of breaks in between, you know, since then and now, but I just could never find this card. I don't know where it is, who has one, but that card is. I opened a lot of this. The reason I also love this card is I opened a lot of this stuff, and I think I only pulled one ever, and
okay.
I forget who it was, but I've only ever pulled one, and it was super fun to open because they had the box toppers.
Yeah.
They have the jumbo cards, and then you can rip it, and you get National Treasure autos in there too of rookies.
Right,
So,
that's right. Okay.
So that's a fun one. So that's why I have a little sentimental value with Zenith.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Like it's not like it stands out there. Like it's very different because the other ones, the Red Hots, were pretty common,
Yeah.
Right.
and I think that there's only 2 parallels, right? Those are the only 2.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Unless
yeah.
there's like I don't think they did base autos. They just did the rookie autos, which were on card, which were really neat.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did that. I know Markstrom's auto is in there, and I thought about grabbing that in case he won the Vesna this year. So, yeah, those are both really good choices, man. I guess I'm kind of stuck. I was between 2. One's kind of a funny one, but I mean, you think about Marc-Andre Fleury's time in Vegas, and there's one particular save that I think we can all agree was one of the best saves that's ever been made in the last few years. And the only time they put this picture on a card was a team. It's just like a weird team set card. This isn't his base card. It should be his base card. How it's not, I don't know. But it's just some team set thing that Kendall was telling me about, and I've never seen this card. And you think like, if it was a team set issue, there should be a bunch of them out there, but it's the only card that has a picture of this save, and it don't even have his glove in it, which is weird. But anyway, so I'm waiting for that to show up. And then the only other one that I think is kind of funny that I've yet to see a version of is this one right here.
Yeah.
Because it's out of 100. I mean, it's a beautiful card, but it's out of 100. And even though it's from 2005, he's in his rookie year stuff there. I'm really surprised that not one has shown up in the few years here. Not one.
That's surprising.
Yeah. What's that?
I said that is surprising. I mean, even if it's out of 100, you'd imagine to find it over a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I found like 20% of the set, but like I did not find the Flurry at the expo. It was
And Brodeur's in there, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's in there.
And then I would imagine Datsuk's in this as well.
Not sure. I'm not sure.
It's a pretty good checklist. I think Lemieux's in this actually.
Because he had come back and he played 05, 06 and 06, 07 with Crosby and Fleury. So I mean, there's a few of them out there. I mean, if I picked any of these patch autos, that'd be kind of silly to even think about saying, just because those are going to show up eventually. I think they always do. People swapping them in and out, but that one definitely has been up there on the want list. The want list is less than, it's down to almost 40 cards now, and a couple of them are kind of ridiculous. Kelvin was telling me, like the absolute goalie, cracked ice, and all that stuff. Like those are like I might as well just take them off, because I thought they had a bigger print run, but apparently they don't. So but yeah, I've got it down to, I think, like when you talk about goals too, Tim, I was very keen on putting reasonable cards on my want list, not out of 5, out of 3, out of 2. Like you getting that Barkov has got to be one of the, wildest, most amazing stories, because that's almost impossible. Like to find a card out of 2. I wouldn't even say that I would want that card, because I know I'm not going to see it. So
yeah.
Oddly
enough, that card originated from Kijiji. I'm not even from Canada.
Wait, really? That's
because my friend put me onto Kijiji, and I was like, you know what? Every now and then I would scour it, because they did have some good stuff.
Yes.
But never in my wildest dreams would I imagine to find such a card on there. Wow.
eBay,
not on any forums, or not even a Facebook group or things like that. On Kijiji.
Yeah. Kijiji's like the Canadians' Craigslist, basically.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a scary place to even think about, like, wandering onto. Let me be honest with you guys. Like, I've done a Macari before and Offer Up, and there's never really been anything of significance on there, so I've just kind of stayed away from it. But wow, interesting.
Do a Flurry search. You might find something.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's interesting, because it's almost like it's like Craigslist, but like it's more random. There's more randomness to it. It's just like people throw like whatever they find. They're like, oh, here's a pile of toys or a pile of cards, and then they'll post pictures, and then sometimes you do find some hidden gems.
I actually found one hidden gem in Jason Spezza's Bowman Chrome CHL. He had a
Oh yes.
99 or out of 100.
Yeah.
Silly me, I didn't buy it at the time, and that was the first time I ever saw that parallel, and I'm still looking for it now. But it just goes to show that on Kijiji, I just managed to find some little gems here and there.
Yeah.
Right.
My
That's pretty cool.
I got Huberto sparkling diamonds from Kijiji.
Wait, really?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling you guys.
Oh
Yeah.
my! I thought it was just like kind of like the no, I didn't expect like high end. I was like, oh, just kind of like the oddball card that
Right.
Wow, hit two
Stuff.
big cards. Holy.
Yes.
Wow. That's wild, man. Well, I'll have to go scour that at some point. But
Mhm.
cool. Well, hey, you know what, fellas? I really enjoyed the discussion today, as usual. A lot of really cool stories, obviously, and a lot of knowledge here too. So I definitely recommend anybody on that watches. Thanks for Carl and Schmidt Collector, Cole Hamels fan. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. They had some good comments, and anybody ever has any questions, hopefully we can help you out, or vice versa. We can help each other out. But next week, hopefully we'll have. Thank you. We'll have Logan on. But before we wrap it up, nothing is more complete as a collector than ripping some packs open. And to close this off, Tim reminded me he's got some packs sitting here. So have at it, dude.
I'm just hoping for some podcast mojo.
All right.
Oh,
I just have to say that Kelvin and I bring the goalie mojo. We're pretty good at the goalie mojo. So let's hope we can help you out there.
nice. Is this hobby or
It's hobby. Serious
Alright.
hobby. So we got Nathan McKinnon base, Stamkos, Essa Lindell.
I see red.
Oh!
Look at that,
Knight.
dude.
You were talking about Spencer Knight.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Goalie mojo.
There we
Wow.
go.
that brought it up.
How
Wow.
about that, dude?
There we go. See?
Dang.
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 Wow.
Pasternak and Brock Besser.
Okay, well, that was
Nice.
nice, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a card, dude.
Mhm.
Whew. That got me
Nice.
excited.
Yeah.
All right. Marco Scandella, Ivan Barbashev, Jonas Brodin, and Blackhawk of Mike Hardman. So, yes, Mike Hardman. And Zach Whitecloud, Alex Killorn, Nikita Zaitsev, and Oliver Bjorkstrand.
I've always liked Zach Whitecloud. When I was watching Fleury play for them 2 years ago, he was so good. Really solid defenseman. So,
Yeah.
love
And
that.
Indigenous Collector also collected him for a short bit.
Yep, sure did.
Austin Matthews, Mikko Rantanen, Andrew Kopp.
Ooh.
No, Young Guns, but of Dyson Mayo. I don't know.
I have no idea.
He's got to be a defenseman.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably defenseman.
Let's see. Yep, he's a defenseman.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Tyler Mott, Matt Dumba, Brian Rust, and Yusuf Valimaki.
No idea who that last guy is.
But
Sorry.
hey, pretty good. 2 young guns so far. One being a canvas too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
geez, that's Spencer Knight, dude. That's such
Yeah.
I love the canvas cards are just like, I love them. I would love to do that whole set one year. Just not the young guns, but the base.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have Logan Couture, Braden McNabb, Ryan Hartman. He had a real good season this year.
Oh,
Barkov.
there you go.
And let's see, portraits of Jan Jenik. Not sure.
Not
but
familiar.
Not familiar.
hey, I'll take that Spencer Knight, though. Mark Giordano,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Carlo, and the checklist of McKinnon and Draisaitl.
Nice.
Nice way to end. Can we see that Spencer Knight full screen here? Look at that, man. What a card.
Wow.
Woo. Dang. That is awesome. Great picture too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always love the photography on the canvas.
It's always such nice cards. It's
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Gorgeous.
Dang. Well, yeah, I guess that's a great way to end. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have said, I'm so sorry, man. I should have said stay tuned at the end at the beginning so people would stay and watch the
Yeah.
packs.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, hopefully, look forward to you posting a picture of that. And obviously having you guys back next week. And we'll have 3. Tim came up with about 500,000 amazing topics, so we will not run out of stuff to talk about. He came up with a lot of good stuff for us.
Yep.
So cool. Well, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks.